In the previous video, I explained some of the basic operators in Java and how Java evaluates expressions before undergoing assignments, as well as some things about constants. In this video, we're actually not going to cover operator precedence just yet. We're going to just start with a simple overview of shorthand operators. Then in our next video, we're going to overview some operator quirks and some basics of casting. And then we're going to cover operator precedence with a lot of examples. And of course, you can see in the future, we're going to do some char and some Unicode. So, shorthand operators. There are two kind of main categories of shorthand operators we're going to cover today. The first are assignment shorthands, and the second are increment shorthands. So, let's start with an assignment shorthand. You can see we've got plus equals, minus equals, multiply equals, divide equals, and mod equals. All these are saying is you take the first operator you see in here, and then you take your value. X is equal to X, and then the operator, and then the value. It's just a shorthand, but it's important to know that this is applicable to all 5 of our main operators. If you ever see an operator before an assignment, all it means is we're taking the variable, we're doing the operator on it with the value given, and then we're going to assign that to the original variable. In other words, x plus equals 1 is equivalent to x equals x plus 1. So these are pretty simple. Now down here we have some increment and decrement shorthands. Now most programmers from any language and any level of experience will be relatively familiar with the concept of plus increment. You'll have seen I++ and I minus minus, and you'll know that when you write I++, you're telling the program increment I by 1. So the program will go in and it will change the value of I by 1, or increase or decrease, depending on whether it's an increment or decrement. What you may not be familiar with the fact is that there's post and pre-increments. What does this mean? Well, not only does this kind of phrase or expression increment the variable, but it actually evaluates to something. This is kind of like what we'll later cover, where a function will both change something somewhere, but it'll also return something. And when we post increment, which is when we put the plus after, this will evaluate to the variable before the increment. And when we pre-increment, this will evaluate to the variable after the increment. And this is another shorthand. Say I want a new variable to save what happens to the variable before the increment. I'd write I equals var plus, and that would assign var to I and then increment var. It's equivalent to me writing I equals var plus equals 1. However, if I pre-increment, it's equivalent to me writing var plus equals 1 and I equals var. So it's important to know the difference there. Now, I mentioned at the start that we're going to cover some operator quirks and basic casting in the next video, and that's what we're going to do. So this has been just a couple operator shorthands in Java.